Alright, welcome back to week 2 of this Esquire build, and this week I'm going to be setting the neck in this body. And I'll show you guys my process for how I'm going to get rid of all this slop in that neck pocket there. Basically, I stole the idea from Dan at Guns and Guitars. I'm going to do it a little bit differently than he does, just because the way he does it, I'm afraid will lead to some asymmetries. However slight, I just want to have it as symmetrical as possible. So let's get started. Alright, so as you can see here, I've got my neck sitting in this body here. But what I'm going to do to get rid of that little gap on either side is I've got these two pieces of veneer that I cut out just from some maple veneer that I have lying around. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue that here, just on the straight part there, and then glue this right here on that straight part there. So what that'll do is keep it centered. What Dan at Guns and Guitars does was he would just get veneer and put it on one side, typically I think the short side, but I want to keep it as centered as possible just because I don't have as much meat over here on either side. And when I put the bridge on, grab my bridge right quick, I'm afraid of it being too off center and it resulting in something like that where I have a little gap with the pickguard hole showing. So to prevent that, that's why I'm doing the little bit of veneer on both sides. And I know that when I put this in, oops, amazing. When I put this in, there's gonna be that little gap like right there where it curves, but that's not gonna be visible under the pickguard. So I don't really care all that much. And again, I'd say this is pretty good for a cheap body that I got on eBay. So yeah, I'm going to glue these veneers in and then catch back up with you guys. Alright, so I've got my wood glue here and just an offcut of MDF that I'm going to use to clamp this to the side of the, I'm going to just go ahead and glue this in. I think that'll be enough there. I should have brought a spreader, but oh well. You live and you learn. Yeah, that's a pretty thorough job there. I'm going to do that to get some up top as well. That is good. So I'm just going to hold this here for a minute. I think I got a pretty good hold here, so I'm going to leave that be for now and then just put a little dab on this piece right here. But yeah, that should be enough. Whoops. And this will go right over here. Which actually that was a bit too much. Oh well, you live and you learn. And I didn't mean to do that. Amazing. Well, I ended up clamping that side, and I'm just holding this side down here. I think the glue is probably fairly set in at this point. And I'm not using too much clamping pressure on this side. It's just like enough to hold it in place, really. I don't want to squeeze all that glue out and make sure that it's glued down nice and solid. So as far as I can tell, this side is also looking pretty good. Yeah, I think we're looking good here. So I'm just going to make sure that we are nice. Yeah, it looks like we are pretty solid on both sides here. So, well, I'm going to leave these alone for 30 minutes just so the glue starts to set. And then I'm going to very lightly make sure that my neck fits in here nice. Alright, as you guys can see, I've removed the clamps. And now I'm going to just use my fret tang nippers to try to get these veneers cut flush to the body. Alright, so my camera failed, so you guys missed some of the action here. But all that's happened so far is I had to re-glue this side because I didn't put enough glue on the first time. And then I trimmed everything fairly flush to the body using my fret tang nippers here. I just cut the excess off, or most of it. I'm going to go back over all this with a planer, I guess, and some sandpaper to get everything perfectly flush, because as you can see here, it's pretty close though. I've got a little bit of a gap here still, which I will show you guys how everything fits with the neck. All right, cool. There we go. Without messing with that too much. As you can see, there's a little bit of play still, but it's not nearly as bad as it was before, so I will gladly take it. With the amount of play that we have here now, I don't think it's really going to be that much of an issue for making this off-center so much that my bridge doesn't fit. I got my bridge here, because before the play in that neck was, or the neck pocket I should say, was kind of wild, whereas it could have moved my bridge like quite significantly. But now with the amount of play in here, I think we're gonna be good. It's gonna move it like just a little bit. I think this is all just me guessing really. So what I'm gonna do next is, before I actually set this bridge here, I'm gonna have to actually mount the neck, so that way I have it set. I know exactly where it's gonna be before I determine my center line and all that jazz. All right, so last thing before we take this out to the garage, what I'm gonna do next is get rid of this little part of the veneer that's sticking out on my edges, and then I'm going to set the neck in. So if we look right here, when I put it in, oops, there's not that much wiggle room. Like when it seats flat against the base right there, there's not any wiggle room. So that's pretty nice. That's what I was going for. Yeah, there's not really any wiggle room unless I wiggle it out here, but as you can see, it'll create this gap, creates a gap right there. So once I have it flat, it's pretty flush against this side here, which is what I wanted. And then the last thing that I'm gonna do I'm gonna steal from Mr. Dan Thompson of Guns and Guitars, is I'm gonna do some angled neck bolts. I've got these deck screws here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill at an angle that way into this area right there in the neck pocket. So I'm gonna have these screws that come in about 45-degree angle or so, as well as my normal screws that are just gonna come straight through the back. So I've been contemplating doing a 3-bolt. The way that Guns and Guitars does it is that he'll do a 3-bolt pattern. I mean, obviously it would be like that, but he'll do a 3-bolt pattern and then do his 45s there, his angle screws there. Then my neck will be set exactly in place, and then from there I can draw my center line and start bolting some stuff onto this body. So let's get to it. Got my body here, and I've got my jack plane, number 12 jack plane, and yeah, I'm just going to use this guy to shave those flush with the body. And well, honestly, I could probably use sandpaper for that too, because I'm going to have to do that around the corners. But anyway, let's go ahead with this. Well, let's see if this is the right depth for me. And I'm not going to be like pressing down really hard with this. I'm just kind of letting the plane do its thing. Well, that was a lot less work than I expected. Yeah, you can see where it is overhanging, so I'm just trying to sand that flush with the body. Where's my file? So I'm just a little more precision work here. Just gonna. All right, cool. Yeah. Now we've got a better looking neck pocket. I know it kind of looks janky right now having those gaps, but once we get the pick guard on here, it's gonna look pretty good. So next up, we're gonna have to put these 45-degree screws in. So before I start drilling some holes, I'm gonna do a little bit of drawing here just to make sure that I'm getting a good kind of even bolt pattern, or screw pattern in this case. So I'm just going to use my center finding ruler right here. It's got some holes so I can see every 32nd on either side. And yeah, instead of being like the traditional ruler, you can see that it has zero in the center, and then it spreads out there, and that's just so you can more easily find the center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using this to find like, oh, that's about center there, mark that, bring it down there, and then trace it up, and then I'm going to measure on either side of that for where I want my screws to go through. Pretty close. I'm just line that up again. 20 or 30. No, I can do better than that. Because that is, so 28 is where it's supposed to go up on that side. So I'll use this to kind of provide a nice backing, so it will be flush there. So about 29 on that side, about 1 ounce. There we go. So I'm going to say my 0 is right there, center line I should say. And then I will boop, go through. I might do this. Didn't think this part through, did I? Let's see here. Well, I can do this, where I line this up here with my edge. And just an edge there. About this guy. Alright, cool. That's pretty close to the edge. So I've drawn that line down, but I want it to go down. Alright. Then I'm going to bring this, perhaps that's not the right side to do it on, because I think the horn, yeah. Let's flip this guy over. Do it here. And then cool. Actually, you know what? I don't think that was straight. That wasn't at a 90, was it? And it was not. Probably should have clamped this guy down here, but SMH. No, I need to have to erase this. Alright, now, there we go. I can, oh, that's not far enough. Let me bring this down some more. I'm starting to suspect that this is not exactly, that right there is not perpendicular to, or parallel to this, I should say, because I'm getting this, because this guy is, that's not perpendicular. So it's got to be this, but anyway. Whoops. I went off into the wilderness there. Actually, no, that's great. Just darken that up a little bit. Cool. So I made some mistakes and I had to erase some stuff here, but I found my, whoops, that is very oversaturated. All right, so as you can see, I just found my approximate center there just for the purposes of making these bolt holes. Transferred it there, and then I used that little right angle thingy that I've got to transfer it down, and then I used it again to draw that from there to there. I'm going to go, because 1.5 inches is the spacing on the tradition, or the spacing this way on the traditional Fender neck plate. So that's going to be 24 32, so I'm just going to do a little. Boom, there we go. So I realized I kind of drew this center line for no reason, basically, but let me get a good angle. Yeah, I had that center there, and I was using this edge here on the bottom of the neck pocket as like a perpendicular line, and I was able to mark 3/4 inches from the center on either side, and then bring that down into the neck pocket. Luckily, I just barely missed that hole right there, where this was drilled for that traditional Telecaster wiring. So that works out pretty well for me. Now I can move on to actually using my drill here to make my 45-ish degree holes for those screws. All right, so I'm gonna use this as kind of a jig here, but not really, because it's not exactly square, but it's pretty dang close. So I'm going to just use this to set my drill bit on, and then start to drill through here. Let me get this hole started now. All right. The holes are started, that's what matters. Now I can actually drill through here. And let me get some backing so I don't just totally screw up my workbench. So, as you can see here, I've got my little holes where those screws will eventually go through. Obviously, they're not exactly centered. I don't really care all that much, though. This is my first time doing this. So I say it came out pretty good. I think also it's because when I started this hole, it kind of drifted off to the side at first. You guys can kind of see that there in that pocket. I tried to get it to like turn the drill to try to get it straight, but it is what it is. I'm not too bothered by it. And then I have to also make sure that I countersink these so the screws will actually go in and go beneath the guitar's this surface here on the body. That's what I'm looking for there. I've got like a little shelf, I guess, for them to go. And it's very rough looking right now, but if you look at these deck screw, whoops, there we go. Well, I don't know if you guys can see on here, but there's these little ridges on here, so that way it will actually cut its own countersink, which is pretty nice. So I've got that as basically as far as I need to go just to get it started, really. And now I can move on to getting a little bit with this. Alright, there. It's made its little countersink. There we go. I didn't even show you guys how it goes through the body, but they only poke out by like a couple threads, which not what I was hoping for, but that's fine because I have to make these. I need to make these a little bit countersinks a little bit deeper anyway, which is fine with me. All right, now that I've got these screws back here, this is what they look like in the neck. As you can see, they're coming in at that angle there. And if you look at the side there, you can see I have no worry about them coming through and screwing up my fretboard. So we are good there, and I can actually get them, I can actually get the neck seated in here and those holes drilled. So we're gonna do that next. All right, that seems pretty good. I'm going to just stick that through in the holes first. I'm thinking I should probably drill these holes out a little bit bigger now, but I've marked out my holes on the neck. Okay, that's sticking out some moment. I can actually put my neck in here and get these guys in. These are holes. Oh wow. Let's see how deep I can get them. I mean, it's got it in there too. That's pretty cool. So yeah, this is what it's going to look like, I guess, when it's done. Now I can do these other holes in the back here. I made a little mark right there that is a half inch above the bottom of this neck pocket here. That's where that screw's going to go through. And then this one right here is going to be, well, I'm going to have to look at the bolt pattern on my Telecaster to figure out where that one's going to go. And then this one here is going to go, it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to have to reference the back, obviously, because I've got this contour there. I'm going to have to go a size higher than I was before because I want them to be actual clearance holes instead of pilot holes like I had done here. I done pilot holes here just to make sure that the screws were going in straight. I mean, clearance holes, they would have gone in fairly straight as well. I just wanted that extra guarantee, I guess, of making them grip into the body here. But these are going to be a little bit oversized, so that way they just go through the body and then end up pulling the neck into the pocket as tightly as possible. So let us move on to that. All right, so to verify what size I'm going to need, I'm going to measure, well, I should probably zero this first. I'm going to measure the outside of this right there. So that was like 0.17. Shout out to my job for getting me an Uglies book when I went to their training course. All right, so 0.17, that is 11/64. All right, so here's my 11/64 brad point bit, just to look at it. Yeah, it looks like those are the same size, so cool. Well, this is a little bit bigger, but that's totally all right. Well, I want this to go through, I'm just gonna mark it using the brad point bit there. I use just this brad point here to go in here and just by hand make a little hole, just so that way it'll be easier for me to reference that hole when I'm actually drilling through. All right, so I just went inside real quick to get a measurement off my telly to figure out about how far in to drill this top, you can't even see that, to figure out where to drill in this top hole there, and I found it's about 7/16 in, and I just wanted to verify before I did anything that that would fit with these washers I plan on using. So this is 7/16 there. As you can see here, we've got more than enough room on the side, because the last thing I want to do is have a washer like this hanging over the edge of the fretboard, or not the fretboard, but hanging over the edge of the body like that, because that would look like hot garbage. Let me mark this in the neck pocket. So that makes that right there where I'm going to drill my hole for this washer, which is going to be right there. So I'm going to have enough meat all around the pocket for it to like look nice when it's on the back side. Just some small things that I'm checking for before I make any holes that I regret in this body. So yep, I think we're going to be absolutely fine. So let me get all set up here, and then we'll start drilling some holes in this body. basically I just got this to about 7/16. Well, it's not now, I'm just doing this to show an example. And I marked, all right, so using this right here, I marked, oh, that's where 7/16 is, and then I used this again to mark down where 7/16 is. Not too sure yet where I'm going to make the hole there, but I'll just reference this backside here and try to transfer everything over. As you can see here, if I go 1.5 inches in, I think that's going to leave us in a pretty good spot to drill that hole, and it'll be, let me actually just draw it in the pocket. So my whole pattern would be there, there, and there, which I think would be pretty good, because if we look on the back side here, 1.5 inches is going to give us about right there. So if I do want to make the horn a little deeper, which I'm thinking I will, it's not going to really interfere with where this washer goes, which is my goal. So there we go. Let me just mark, just like I did before, my hole that started in the right place. Cool, and I just used a bit and I spun it backwards just to mark out where the holes are going to be, and I'd say I'm pretty satisfied with that, because I'm going to get, yeah, 2 sides, 1 in the center, and then I'm going to get these 2 45s there. It's going to be peachy. This neck's not going anywhere. Oh yeah, especially with, I forgot to even mention, with these deck screws, because this body's a little bit thinner than I had initially expected. This is like actually the same, it's the same thickness. So these are going to go a little bit in, and I checked with my neck that it's not going to penetrate through the fretboard, so we're golden there. All right, so my setup here is I've just got my drill press, obviously. I've chucked my bit in there. I've got this backing board here, so that way I don't blow out the back of this telly body. And I'm going to just line it up right quick. Chuck a bit in wrong. Here. Yeah, we're looking good now. All right. Do this again. I've got this right where I want it. So, here we go. All right. Got my holes here where my bolts are going to go, where my screws are going to go. So, we're looking pretty good. I need to mark using this bad boy. Regardless, I'm going to have to just do that to mark going through here. And this is going to go, that guy's going to go in right there. And let's see if I can just do it by hand. No, it's not going in. I'm going to have to use my drill and drill this through. Yeah, I'm just verifying right now that if I put this there, oops, sorry. If I put it there, it's still not going to go all the way through. It'll go like right to the very edge of that fretboard there. So I can go, I'm not going to go all the way, obviously, but I'm going to go pretty deep in there. I just should make sure that my hole's all right. Uh-oh. Oh, I didn't quite think that through, did I? I kind of screwed that up. I drilled right where the truss rod goes in here. Damn, right into the very edge. If I had just done it a little bit closer to the neck pocket, it would have been alright, but oh well. You live and you learn. So I'm just doing that to locate where these are going to be, and then I can, once I've got those done, then I can move on to actually, well, once I got this done, I should say, I can move on to counter boring them. So let's figure out how I'm going to move this hole here. Oh man, what's nice about having a drill press too is that I can do this stuff at night, and this makes very little noise, so I don't have to really worry about waking the neighbors up. My hand drill, however, is significantly louder, so that is unfortunate. I hope I don't get any complaints in the morning from the neighbors. Yeah, so I lost my last jig, so I'm just making another one. All I'm doing really is making a hole that will perfectly match this washer there. So boom, that is a tight fit right there. And so what I'm going to do is I can use this to line up the body with where I need to make my countersinks. So that's good. Well, I don't even know where my painter's tape went, so I'm just going to go ahead and use this piece of electrical tape, which I got for free from one of my homies. So I'm just going to do this here, see how deep I need to go. Then I'm going to make a little flag on the side of this bit, so I know how deep I need to drill. So I've got this guy tightened down, and because of the way this is shaped, obviously, it's a countersink. The angle on the head is the head of the screw is gonna perfectly center this washer. Now that I've got that, I just have to put that there, and I can double stick tape this to the body, and it will allow me to perfectly match up that hole. So let me find my, there's my double stick tape. I actually came prepared for this one. Well, something I forgot to do earlier was to make these 45 holes clearance holes instead of threaded holes, so that way I get better clamping pressure between the body and the neck. So let's hope I didn't completely screw myself over here by doing this too late, but let me... Alright. Yep, I'm all the way through. So I'm going to resort to using this jig, which the way this works is a 15mm hole, as you guys can see, that I plunged out with this, and then I'm just gonna, this is kind of, I don't know if I like that, but anyway, what I do is I get everything mounted here, and then you guys will see it'll just be mounted on the washer, and then I just pull the washer out and the screw out, and then it will give me exactly where I need to line all this stuff up. So without further ado, let me just get this neck mounted back on here. So now I put this guy on here. I just need now I just need some, actually let me try this chamfer side, see if that will work out better. I think it will actually. Alright, let me get my double stick tape. Pull this washer out. There we go. Boom. And now I know exactly where I need to put my hole. And I've already marked this. I'm just going to make sure I can get this lined up. Boom, son. Off, and now my washer. Oh, I didn't make it deep enough. Yeah, I went a little bit shy. I was just wanting to verify that I got my placement correct, and I did. So this is where it will sit in the body. I just need to obviously get this washer out and drill it. Actually just the right depth. Okay, cool. I will take it. Well, yeah, we are golden. Now both of these guys are recessed in there. As you can see, they're not sticking out at all. The bottom of the fretboard is like stood off a little bit so that way I can get these guys all the way in deep. Oh, that feels super sturdy, dude. Awesome. And that's only 2 of these guys in. Wait till I get this one in. Of course, I'm gonna have to re-drill it because I kind of drilled into that little truss rod plate, which is my mistake. So you're supposed to get all your parts in and know about them before you drill things. I did know that that truss rod plate was there, that the little plug was there. I saw it beforehand. I thought it was just wood all the way through, and I was like, who cares if I screw into that? But apparently there's metal in there that I was not aware of, so that was my bad. So I'm just gonna get everything ready so that way I can figure out where I'm gonna put this last screw, and I'll catch back up with you guys. So what I've been thinking about doing is just moving this down about 1/4 of an inch or so, just so that way I want to have some meat in between where the hole is and then the edge, obviously, but I don't want to be too close to that. Although I'm going to go back and fill this and the hole in the body with some wood filler. So I'm thinking, yeah, about 1/4 inch down should be good. You know what, actually I think that is pretty good placement. Alright, so boom. Bottom hole is made, which will be the correct hole this time. Now I'm just going to do the same thing as before, where I tried to drill the hole. Alright, so that is going to be the final placement of that next screw. So I will have this 5-bolt pattern. Ooh, yeah. First try, baby. This is what we got. These are all flush with the body, nothing sticking out. So I can lay this flat, and you guys will see what I mean, because I'm doing different style. The string retainers back here for the string through body, but yep, this feels really good. Again, no gap at the bottom of the neck here, except for those corners, which I had planned for. So yeah, man, this is looking good. I'm just gonna apply some filler in that hole there, and I mean, that's basically it. Probably should have got my little spreader thing ready. Put that on with the washer there. I'll take the washer off a little bit later. Yeah, it'll look like that. Obviously, I'll clean up this screw in this washer once this cures. But yeah, that's what we're looking like now. And then I would do the same inside the neck. But for now, I'm just going to leave this to do its cure time. So yeah, we've got the neck set. It is all the way set. Now I can do all my markings up here, get all the hardware put in, make sure that all fits right, and then yeah, we're going places after this. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.